Hey brothers, how you doing? Well, clearly I'm coming to you from the bath. It's not my bath, I don't have a bath. One day I'll have a bath, but no, I'm at a mate's place getting some much needed, I guess you could say therapy, just soaking the body. A lot of pain in the body, so I'm here and it's winter time in New Zealand and I'm soaking up this beautiful bath. Anyway, I want to talk about unwellness, which is, this channel is predominantly about men's health. And when I talk about men's health, that could be men's spiritual health, emotional health, mental health, physical health, and anything around all that too, whether it's regarding your relationships with people you love, being unhealthy or healthy, or the food you're eating, or the exercise you're doing. And the idea of the channel is that you write a comment below, because we're a club, it's the Bro Check Club. You write a comment below and engage in the conversation, because when you write a comment, everybody sees it, it's a public comment. So that's why it's important to also think before you write something, because not only, obviously, I'm reading it, but hundreds of other people are reading it. This is only a small channel, so we only get 400 or 500 views, but that's 400 or 500 people, possibly more, possibly less, reading your comments. So please feel free to engage and put your thoughts, because the things that I talk about are only from my life experiences, and your life experiences are quite different. Unwellness comes from never just one thing, although we often tend to pin it to one thing. We go, oh, he's got a broken leg because he fell over, but the same man could have the same accident and not break his leg, and that could be a whole reasons of why. It could be that the guy that fell over and broke his leg was so weak at the time he had no core strength to hold himself the right way and his leg snapped. It could be that he had bad nutrition, didn't eat his greens, and his bones didn't get enough calcium. It could be any number of reasons. So there's never just one thing, but we tend to pin it to one thing, and that goes with disease like cancer. If you think about your own life, if you're my age, then you've probably had a lot of trauma in your life. Motorbike accidents, car accidents, rugby accidents, boxing accidents, although they're not really accidents most of the time. You knew something was going to go wrong there. Just accidents at work where you fell off something. Accidents that were maybe possibly rare and bizarre accidents. You might have fallen off a small step and ended up becoming a paraplegic. Things like that happen, or even worse, a quadriplegic. I do actually know a story of that. That's what triggered that in my mind. A guy in Germany that became a paraplegic on one step on the church outside Cologne, I think it was. I'm not sure about that. It might have actually been Dusseldorf. One of those two. Anyway, I digress. So when we have something go wrong in our lives and we get either depression or we get anxiety or we get something that really makes life difficult, what we need to do is trace back to where we first felt it go wrong. And if you keep on going back, often you'll go back to your childhood if you really are digging deep. Often you'll find out something traumatic happened there. This doesn't necessarily give you the tools to fix it, but it gives you an understanding of why you're feeling that way, and you're able to manage it better. Now, I've talked about this before. Of all the people in my life, in my circle, in my world, including myself, everybody who has something that's within their mental health that's not right, I've never known anybody ever to become 100% healed from it. I've known people to learn to manage it. I've known people that have learned to accept it and let it go and deal with it when it comes, which is the same as managing it. I know people that have really happy lives. Now, I've got one mate, Pete, who at one time was literally at the end of his rope. Literally, he'd already put the rope up, ready to step out of this life, and today he's got a life that I would die to have. Beautiful woman, good health, does his art as a job, and he's living his passion. So he's what I'll class as being successful, because every day he does what he loves. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. Now here's a wee gold nugget I'll give you guys that are in a dark place. If you're really in a deep dark hole right now, whether it's your physical health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, or just overall health, look at somebody who's been worse off at you and today is not. Imagine, I've got a friend, Colin. He was 5 years ago terminally ill with cancer at the 4th stage, and a serious cancer, huge tumour growing inside him. He got onto a drug called Keytruda. Well, Colin's had 5 really good years, and in those years, him and I went to the Chatham Islands together. We've done all sorts of things, and today he's in better shape than I am, and he's in his 70s. So I often think about Colin. I think, well, if he could win that battle, then I could win this battle that I'm doing. And for you, you can read about it. It doesn't have to be a personal friend. You might find it somewhere in a book. You might watch a story. One of the people who's a real huge inspiration in my life is the magician David Blaine. The reason I say magician is we also have somebody in our country that, there's a court case around a murder and stuff. I think he was, I didn't actually follow up, but I think he was actually found not guilty then. That's another David Blaine, not to be confused. This David Blaine you probably know a lot better. He's the guy that can stick an ice pick through his arm, through his hand, without any blood or supposedly no pain, but he also has done things which science couldn't be done. A neurologist told him that the longest you can go with holding your breath without oxygen is 6 minutes before you get deprived of oxygen. I forget the name. So he saw that as a challenge, and he held I think it was a world record, over 17 minutes. He actually did it on the Oprah Winfrey show, and went against all science, and no brain damage. He's done other things too, and crazy things. David Blaine, to me, is really what I would class as magic. I think he's he's got those supernatural powers where he can actually read what people are thinking, because a lot of his magic, there's no rationale behind it that you can actually find a rationale to. I watched a video the other day of some famous actress where he was working out what was in her mind and wrote it down. These sorts of things, although we say supernatural, I think they're things that can be learnt. And what it gives me in the way of hope is, if one man can do it, then I can do it. And it's the same for you. If one bloke can do something, then you can also do it. You might go, oh, well, I wasn't born with those skills. Well, that bloke probably wasn't either. David Blaine was born with a bad asthma as a child and low lung capacity. Yet he went on to... So the odds were stacked. He even beat one of the most amazing divers who was built way better than him. His lung capacity was twice as big as him, but he still beat that guy. His lung capacity was twice as big as the normal person's lung capacity. I'm not sure what David Blaine's lung capacity is, but I know that he was born with a defect there, and so he had that to battle against. This bath is just so hot and good. So there's a thing to give some thought to next time you're in the hole, next time you're swimming, next time you're depressed, or next time you're struggling with anxiety, or you're feeling like there's no hope. Look around at those of you that are still here, or even those of you that aren't, that managed to get themselves out. The human spirit is an amazing thing. Well, how do you do that? One of the things you've got to do is you've got to meditate on your higher self. And if that sounds airy-fairy and spiritual, then so be it. But that's what you've got to do. You've got to go to your higher self and be there. That's the part of yourself that's not going into your pain body, that's not doing the poor me, not the victim. It's a part of me it's the glass that's half full. It's, I've got this, and you watch me beat this cancer, or you watch me beat this heart disease, or you watch me beat this liver disease, or you watch me beat this brain disease. The brain is an amazing thing, and when you consider we only use a very small part of it, there's a whole lot more of it that we're not even tapping into, and that part of it can be healing. We've got everything in our body to heal ourselves. We're a whole pharmaceutical walking pharmacy. It's accessing it. But to do that, we've got to do our due diligence. We've got to do our study. We've got to educate ourselves. It's no good just listening to some old bloke in a bath rattle off to you that you can do it. You've got to go and be proactive. And that might be doing hours and hours of research, reading science papers, medical journals, really doing the homework and talking to the professionals, not just Googling it, but talking to the specialists. I don't ever just talk to one person either. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to my mate Glenn Davies at Taupo Medical Centre. Now he's running, I don't think he's running, I think he is, I'm not sure actually, he's New Zealand Reversal, which is a great medical company which reverses things like diabetes and other diseases. So I talked to him in great depth. One of the things he said to me is that people that survive cancer all have one thing in common. They all take control of their life. Doesn't mean you're going to survive it, but it means the odds are in your favour. So if you've got a really bad cancer, then you really want to stack the odds the other way. So by taking control of it, that means being proactive at doing all the research, pushing your own barrow and making stuff happen. Now, I don't have personally a lot of faith in our New Zealand hospital system, although some people it serve well, but from my own experiences, they haven't been good at all. And I'm going to document that on my Patreon, on my other channel, in probably about 6 months. I'm going to do a whole video on that because it's something which I think that needs to be tweaked a lot in a lot of areas. And that's just not hospital in general. It's mental health in New Zealand, it's midwifery, not the midwives, but the resources that they get, and it's the DHBs throughout the country. I think there's a lot more to be done. Easy for me to sit here in the bath relaxing when I'm not the one out there putting in the hours, but I'm talking about governmental at the very top, making the resources possible for these institutions, because a lot of us Kiwis are dying before we even get the surgeries we need, or particularly a lot of the elective surgeries. I certainly waited way too long for my radical prostatectomy. I was six months or something on the end, and by then it had actually doubled. Well, what it had done was I actually had 2 tumours and it had actually gone outside of the prostate. There you're getting into dangerous territory. You're talking about stuff metastasising and spreading. So, and this happens a lot. It's not uncommon. Got another mate right now, he's been waiting for a hip replacement for over 6 months. They told him to be 3. I think with what's gone on worldwide with COVID and everything else around it, I think we're going to find there's a lot of waiting lists for a lot of things, not just hip replacements and radical prostatectomies. I think there's a lot of things across the board. I think the building industry, stuff's waiting, post, a lot of stuff in retail, a lot of stuff in wholesale. It's all on a big waiting list. Although having said that, Amazon tends to really get stuff out pretty quick. That's really my video for the Bro Chick channel today. I haven't been so proactive as I should be with the videos on this channel. Had a lot on my plate right now. Tomorrow my brother Tristan's coming to stay with me, and I'm excited about that. Looking forward to seeing him. He's going to be with me for 7 days, and it's going to be cool to have my brother. We fight like crazy. Him and I like chalk and cheese, but I'm really looking forward to seeing him because he's my bro. I hope this video finds you guys well, and remember, if you're not well, call out to a brother, reach out and say, I'm not feeling well. If you had real dark thoughts, particularly of taking your own life, and I'll talk about that straight at you, then talk to someone and tell them, even if you've planned it, say, this is my plan, it's what I'm going to do, just tell somebody. It's really, really important, that one. That's really important, because life can at times be really, really difficult, can challenge the hell out of you, and if you're just in a bad space for a short time, then you might go down that rabbit hole, and that's when you need to reach out to someone else. Now, on the other hand, if you've got a brother or a mate, or even a woman, because it is a Bro Chick channel, but anybody that you can just see the warning signs there, just reach out and keep an eye on them. And don't ring them up and say, hey bro, how are you? Just go and knock on the door. If you're concerned, go and knock on the door, because if you catch them unannounced, then you find the truth out. Just rock in there and say, hey mate, how you going? I've come in here to just check on how you're doing, and give them the old pat on the back, give them a hug, and give them some space to talk. Just say anything you want to talk about. Don't say too much. Don't tell them any of your shit. It's not about you, it's about them. Reach out and be there for a brother, or a sister for that matter too. Okay guys, I'm going to actually play with my rubber ducky and carry on with the bath. We'll see you later. Go steady.